policy had been discussed, and we are happy with it in terms of the principles that were followed. And it was very, very well canvassed, and the ANC is happy with that policy to be implemented. And it does not mean that people are running away. Consequent management follows you wherever you are. So we have to deal with consequent management. It's not because we are not dealing with consequent management. So you can be seconded to another department, but if you have a problem and an issue, it will follow you wherever you go.
Are you done?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barbara. Who is for the recommendation? ANC is for the recommendation.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Who is against? The DA is against.
Chair, the MF is against.
The MF is against.
The ACDP is against.
The ACDP is against. DLC. DLC, where are you? IFP.
We support the item, Madam Speaker.
The IFP supports. EFF. Ntia nungangena.
Ngisangikhona ma.
Uphi. For or against?
Yeah, no. No, we want to abstain on the matter.
You're abstaining. ACDP?
Madam Speaker, we against.
ACDP is against. DLC, you haven't responded.
Abstaining, Madam Speaker.
Abstaining. The TA? The TA is against. Mosa? Mosa, where do you stand? Councillor Mabanga?
Chair, can you record the MF as against? It's not recorded.
Against.
Speaker, the DA is not abstaining. We're voting against. Please, can it be corrected?
Please correct the DA is against. And Mosa?
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
Mosa is against, Madam Speaker.
Mosa is against.
Thank you.
Councillor Nxumalo? Councillor Mabanga? Okay, Councillor Mabanga is not yet back. He's requested for 15 minutes out. Councillor Nxumalo? Councillor Sibisi?
For Madam Speaker.
Councillor Sibisi is for. Councillor Mbanjwa? Councillor Mbanjwa. Okay. They're not responding. All right. The ANC is for. The recommendation is carried. Thank you.
Madam Speaker,
Chief Whip,
sorry, Madam Speaker, can the Secretariat assist us when the councillors are joining? Because at our disposal here now, the ANC is 92.
can we add Secretariat when councillors do come in? Please add the numbers. Okay, the recommendation is carried.
So, sorry, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, for future purposes, when we deal with matters of policy, the policies that are before us emanate from the national legislation. So we'll therefore need to apply our minds. I can imagine if the IFP and the ANC did not support this policy, we would have contradicted national legislation, including the constitution of the country. I'm sure this matter needs to be looked at for future policies that are being attended by this council, because we don't have any authority to contradict national legislation as well as the constitution of the country. So those who have voted against, they are actually passing a vote of no confidence to the national legislation. Thank you, Chair.
Let's move on to the next.
Speaker.
Yes, who's that?
Speaker.
Tian.
No, Speaker. I was raising a point of order on the mayor.
What's the point of order?
But the mayor cannot suppress the debate in the council.
Tian, you are back with disrupting the meeting. Let's continue. Kade sakugcina la emihlanganweni.
The mayor is out of order, Speaker.
Let's continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Item number 2 is the report on economic development.
There's a hand from Councillor Nxumalo.
Hayi meme esidala nje sandla kade ngingavuma ukukhuluma nombhobho bengisho nami ngiyasupport ngingakwazi ukukhuluma ngiyabonga.
Okay, sehliseke kahle. Yes, let's move.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's the second report on Economic Development and Planning Committee for the meeting held on the 19th of August 2021. Item 2.1, repurposing of demos land sales income from targeted land sale purchases to business continuity, land use management and occupational health and safety capital. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 2.2, final approval of eThekwini Municipality's Planning and Land Use Second Amendment Bylaw of 2021. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 2.3, following informal trade project. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 2.4, township development, Kwanozaza Development Traders Hub. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 2.5, update on Durban's participation on Global Cities Program. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 2.6, approval to review tourism visitor marketing strategy for Durban. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
We are now on the report of the Community Services Committee for the meeting held on the 23rd of August 2021. Item 3.1, request for approval of grant to eThekwini Libraries and Heritage Department from KwaZulu-Natal Department of Arts and Culture for the financial years 2021 to 2022, 2022-2023, and financial year 2023-2024. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
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 The recommendation is carried.
Item 3.2, request for authority to enter into partnerships between eThekwini Municipality represented by Parks, Recreation and Culture Unit and registered sport bodies for the 2021-2022, 2022-2023, 2023-2024 financial years. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Recommendation is carried.
Item 3.3, request to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Durban Botanical Gardens Trust. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 3.4, temporary utilization of Princess Makoko Stadium for emergency provision of social services. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 3.5, a request for approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding between Agroecology Unit and Southern African Food Laboratory. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item 3.6, suspension of Salka Games for 2021-2022 financial year. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation? Councillor?
Raise a hand, eh?
Councillor
Agreed.
Nkosi? Councillor Nkosi, but you are not on the speakers list.
Oh, that must be a mistake, Madam Speaker.
It's not here. It's not here.
Okay, no, it's
was
fine.
not
Let me
submitted.
remind the officials that as IP, we asked for the document that was redirecting the funds of the last financial year budget for Saturday games.
Yes, Rob Nkosi. Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed, ma'am. Kodwa nginirobe bengishilo na izolo.
Okay. All right, it's fine.
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Speaker. Speaker.
You are not on the speakers list.
No, I'm not speaking. We are voting now.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we want to disagree.
The EFF is against.
Which one?
Which one? Because we've already done the recommendation. We're moving to the next item.
Suspension of Salka Games.
We move
We are
to the
still
next item. We'd already agreed on the
Suspension
item.
of Salka Games.
You
Let's
understand
move.
the item, Tian?
Let's move.
Item
we
number
voted.
3.7, grant in aid call for funding applications. Parks, Recreation and Culture Unit. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried. Mtiane, we're missing you, but awume kancane namhlanje. Asikho ready for lento yakho.
We are now on to the report of the Finance, Security and Emergency Services Committee for the meeting held on the 23rd of August 2021. Item number 4.1, Budget Statement Report for the period ending 30th of June 2021. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted? Oh,
Noted.
oh, there's a speaker
Noted.
here, Councillor McPherson. Councillor McPherson, I'm sorry. Councillor McPherson. Please unmute Councillor McPherson. Have you unmuted him? Please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Speaker. I'm unmuted. You know, it's it's actually ironic that when the mayor greeted us with warm revolutionary greetings, it was awesome that I was able to introduce on one of our outstanding items a civil unrest. You know, one kind of leads into the other, and that is when with the outstanding report on the Finance and Security Services agenda is the detailed report on the civil unrest, bearing in mind that you know, safety and security and fire and Metro Police fall under that committee, and we were looking to see where the shortfalls are. And I just make that by mention, by noting, because I see it comes up later, but that the Finance Committee still hasn't seen that detailed response. And for those that are listening in on this, we will insist as a Democratic Line seeing that detailed report
Order,
to
Chair.
understand the shortfalls. But more importantly, the item that I want to
But
speak
Mayor,
to
what's the
is,
point of order?
the local investment and
Councillor McPherson, there's a point of order.
I rise on the point of order, Madam Chair, because the present speaker is talking on the report which is still coming. It's part of the agenda. Thank you.
Councillor McPherson, the issue is on the budget statement report for the period fund ending 30 June 2021.
Sure. Just to help the mayor, that item wasn't left, it was left out, it was an outstanding item. So I spoke to the outstanding item which precedes the other items. But on item number 4 specifically, there was an important item, local invest and buy local, invest local. And I thought it important to raise it at this juncture, because as all of us, we're committed to supporting local and buying local. But it's, again, ironic that we don't get these reports. You remember the Finance Committee Chair, it's the heartbeat, it's the blood that makes the city run. Fast running out of blood, by the way, and we'll need some transfusion and blood donation soon. But it's important that we get these reports. And I tell you why, because on the audit committee, which was earlier, the mayor spoke warmly and strongly of the interventions. And proudly, I might add, that he said there are various interventions. And one, when we buy local, and instead of the regular gifts that the councillors get, whether they be tracksuits or bags or T-shirts made in China, we'd really like to see those start being made in South Africa. In fact, it's compulsory. And on page 13 of the audit committee, they made mention of strengthening measures to address supply chain management matters. And so it's important that we have that document, Chair, Madam Speaker, so that we have oversight when these gifts are floated around, and that they are manufactured in South Africa. Remember, every imported garment, and I want every ANC to listen to this, every imported garment is a job lost. And I hope that there's other people associated with trade unions and so on and so forth that listen to this. That summit that was held, the buy local, invest local, we collectively must get that document, and we must enforce it and make sure that the minimum money that is now being collected, that whatever procurement is done is enforced through supply chain management with this document that we should all be looking at and enforcing. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shelembe. Councillor Shelembe.
His hand is
Expenditure
up,
for the period end. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The income and expenditure for the period ending June is 97% of the budget, which an accepted variance of 3% and well within the National Treasury norm variation of 10%. A cash collection of 95% as at June 2021 was reported as being slightly higher than compared to the same period in the previous year, which was 87.17. The ANC would like to recognize the support by the COGTA as well as provincial and national treasury in assisting with the collection of government debt. The great progress has been made. Our cash on hand was 5.6 billion, equivalent to 56 days. Our gearing ratio is 23%, well below the norm of 45%, while our debt servicing cost is less than 4% of our total budget. This has helped the eThekwini municipality maintain a credit rating of A1 plus in the short term and AA in the long term. As we know that, Councillor McPherson, most of the metros in the country, including the DA-led city of Cape Town, has been unfortunately but unsurprisingly downgraded to junk status by the rating agents. There has been a slight improvement in water losses from 54.02 in April to 52.04 in May, and further reduced to 49.01 in June. We have thus devised a strategy to reduce the water losses to 25% by 2026, which is an accepted international benchmark. On the issue of Durban being rated in the bottom 3 of the world 351 container handling facilities, we object to this outcome, and their ongoing engagement facilitated by the National Treasury and the President to establish and understand the methodology index being developed and utilized by the World Bank to arrive at such a questionable categorization. The ANC is aware of tough economic climate due to COVID-19 pandemic and now by recent unrest, have this ensured that we drive austerity measures and will continue to monitor some and drive productivity improvements as we continue to do more with less. The ANC note the budget statement for the month end of June. I thank you.
Thank you. The item is for noting. Is this noted, councillors?
Noted.
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 The recommendation is noted.
Thank you. Item number 4.2, report on investments for the month of June 2021. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted?
Noted.
Item number 4.3, annual credit rating at eThekwini Municipality. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted?
Noted.
Recommendation is noted.
Item number 4.4, quarterly report on withdrawals from municipalities' bank account in terms of Municipal Management Act. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted?
Noted.
The recommendation is noted.
Item 4.5, request for additional funding to cater for overtime expenditure in respect of COVID-19 homeless shelter management. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
No.
Agreed.
IFP not in support, Madam Speaker.
IFP not in support. Who else is not in support?
The MF is not in support.
MF not in support. Who is for?
EFF.
EFF not in support.
Yeah.
Who's abstaining? Nobody is abstaining. Everybody else is for. Umalo?
Support.
CBC? Is Mabanga back? Sibisi Mabanga Banjwa.
Mosa in support.
Mosa supports. Tiane, please lower your hand. Okay. The recommendation is carried. Thank you.
Now, on to item number 5, extension of contract in terms of section 116, subsection 3 of the MFMA for the lease of properties in a platform lawn match complex, Umgeni Road. Committee recommends.
Councillor Sibisi from the DA.
Speaker, it's Councillor Graham.
Yes, Councillor Graham.
Councillor Sabisi is absent. He had a vaccine this morning and isn't feeling well, so he won't be able to speak, but we are voting against this item.
The DA is voting against. Who else is against?
DLC, Madam Speaker, voting against.
EFF is against. DLC is against.
ACDP is against, Madam Speaker.
ACDP is against.
Mosa is against.
Musa is against.
MF is against.
MF is against. Mabanga in support. Ngumalo. Councillor Mapena.
Madam Speaker, I'm not voting. Councillor Graham reminded me of something. I wanted you in closing just to encourage us to go and vaccine.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Please do. Let's go. It's important. Let's protect ourselves, our families, our colleagues.
Hi, Dad. Thank you so much for the flowers.
Mkhuzeni phela nangu councillor sebongamaflower council.
Omkhuzgan.
Councillor Diane, please mute. We don't want to hear indaba zakho. Okay, the recommendation is carried.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Item number 6, eThekwini Municipality Civil Unrest and Security Plan. Committee recommends.
Councillor Y. Govender from the DA.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this report tabled, as I've said to you previously, is more like a wish list than a safety plan that is actually ready for implementation. This report is clearly a long-term safety plan and may take the municipality maybe 5 to 10 years to actually achieve. Now, when the civil unrest report was initially presented, we had very, very clearly requested that a safety and security plan must be in place for imminent threats of violence following the July mayhem. The entire country has been bracing for a repeat performance and phase 2 of this planned attack on critical infrastructure and communities. So the threat was real. We have not seen the ruling party, except give assurances, actually mobilize safety and security. The ruling party gave an assurance that a plan would be tabled in August. The plan, however, is of zero assistance in the current context. Nothing and no one in that report can be mobilized right now on the scale that is sorely needed should eThekwini come under attack. The legitimate expectation that we would have a comprehensive strategic, logistical and tactical safety plan tabled that would ensure that residents would be well protected if the unrest does erupt right now has not been realized. This report, as you can see, will fall alarmingly short and does fall short of offering any real-time protection, with glaring failures in many critical units. The failures are admitted, the shortcomings are admitted in the report given, but an affirmation of, it's just merely an affirmation of the systematic failure and neglect of various departments under your watch. Metro Police did not and do not have the capacity nor the resources to train effectively and maintain law and enforcement right now. Neither do they have the capacity to protect person and property. The city that cites that prioritization of complaints will be for attendance and then implemented simply means that most of us will remain unprotected while Metro chooses who they will respond to. Case in point is the Metro Police Space in Verulam, a condemned building where your staff currently work from the parking lot. Where is your urgency? There is none. Your fire department. The DA has repeatedly sounded the alarm about the state of fire department. The unit is understaffed, working with defective equipment, vehicles, a shortage of rescue equipment, and is suffering a critical shortage of fire PPE. This has been the status quo for a long time now, at least 2 years that we've been raising it, and there's never been an urgency by the city to equip them, or the 21 fire stations that seemed to be suffering the same fate. After the unrest, there is no doubt a worse situation. Disaster management is another huge failure. Communications and interface are dismal between law enforcement, tiers of government, and the general public. Fire safety bylaws, whilst plans for buildings that were destroyed by unrest will be fast-tracked, this is also something that the DA has been following. But what is the actual plan? What is the actual plan to do standard operating procedures to inspect and enforce compliance? Critical vacancies, another red flag. How do you mobilize a force when you don't have the warm bodies that actually make up that force? This is indeed very worrying for the millions of residents affected by the civil unrest. The usual service delivery protests, especially when the country is still on high alert. Communities that were stormed like Duff's Road, Phoenix, Verulam, Tongaat have to yet again look within to protect themselves within the confines of the law, of course. While you will take the opportunity to grandstand and defend this plan, please tell us, what do we say to the child cowering under a table when bullets are smashing through the trees? What do we say to the elderly senior citizens who cannot run, cannot hide for fear of their homes being set alight or looted, or buildings that are being looted in close proximity to them? What do we say to the residents who are currently, night after night, standing off at substations and reservoirs trying to safeguard them? Reservoirs are still being vandalized. Substations are still being vandalized. Vandalism is on the increase. Whether it's part of the grand scheme of the phase 2 of the unrest, we do not know. But elections are on the horizon and protests will increase. There is no plan. If criminal elements mobilize tonight, the city will not fare any better than the July riots. You have never treated the safety of citizens with urgency, and this long-term plan is evidence of your complacency. Like Councillor McPherson alluded to earlier, you need to go back to the drawing board and fix this. Thank you.
Councillor Nyelinyanisa from the ANC.
No, Chairperson, thank you. I think I will have enough time. I hear my colleague is concerned about the citizen, but in brackets, because she's only specifically mentioning specific areas, not all the areas. If she's concerned about citizen, the plan it's a short-term and a long-term plan, and I just wanted to know where does my colleagues that have finished from the other side have this information that we don't have enough resources and we don't have a plan? How did she conclude on that when some of them, talking about Metropolis in particular, when some of them, they were doing illegal things and preventing Metropolis to have an access to go and protect protect the citizen in some of the areas. To protect your properties and yourself doesn't mean that you have to do on a racial profiling of the whole situation. That's what's happening at Etegwini and the areas that she's mentioning. She's mentioning that children were hiding under the table. Then say in the same alert we want to say as ANC, when senior citizen like a person who was shot, 70-year-old woman was shot in Phoenix. She an African. It was not like anyone. We understand as ANC the program, but this plan is the plan that talks of the short term and the long term vision, and it will be always revisited, and in the committee of finance and the council will keep on making sure that where there are shortfall we'll revisit, we replan and do the necessary arrangement with the department. I'm happy now that even the DA is realizing Uguti at Metropolis we have a shortfall, and when we do the budget, they will pass the budget and making sure that a lot of money allocation goes to relevant department, especially Metropolis and disaster and safer city. Because they always not pass the budget, but they come talking about shortfalls. But when we do the budget allocation, they come and argue and even ended up not passing the budget in council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sabelo from the African National Congress.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Once again, greetings to you, Honorable Speaker, and councillors and the public. Honorable Speaker, the DA once again gets it all wrong. Like Councillor Nelinyanisa is saying, the city as led by the African National Congress has got a short-term and a long-term plan in ensuring the safety of our citizens and in preparing us for any situation which is similar to what has happened in July this year. I do, however, wish to state to the public and councillors here that the DA continues to racially profile our city. It is indeed the DA that is polarizing society in eThekwini municipality. The fact that when she speaks, when Councillor Govender speaks about the affected areas, and she only mentions areas such as previous Indian townships, it tells you that she's got no clue of what happened in July. Almost all townships here in this metro was badly affected.
Councillor Graham, Councillor Sabelo, there's, yeah.
Speaker, Councillor Sabelo is saying that Councillor Govender is racially polarizing the municipality or the people of eThekwini is a clear violation of the rules of order. This is a constituency-based system where people are entitled to speak on behalf of communities that they represent. And every community that Councillor Govender mentioned was indeed affected by the riots in July. She does not have to give an exhaustive list of every community in Durban in order to make the point, and that does not make her guilty of racial profiling. I believe that's a violation of the rules of order, and I would like you to...
Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, that is not a point of order. Point of order.
Councillor Graham, you've made a statement. Let's allow Councillor Sabelo to continue.
Speaker,
indeed, Councillor Graham confirms.
It's a point of order in terms of section 16 D of the rules of order.
But you went on and on. You just raise your point of order, but you don't have to go on and on and on.
Speaker, but I needed to clarify what the objection was. He's made a disparaging comment about Councillor Govender, that she is entitled to speak to constituencies that she represents.
Let's allow Councillor. Let's allow Councillor Sabelo. We hear you.
Speaker, I'd like you to rule on that, please.
Councillor Sabelo, don't say the councillor is racially dividing, but just tell us what is happening in the city, not in different areas. Continue, Councillor Sabelo.
Madam Speaker.
Continue.
It is a fact. Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is a fact, Madam Speaker, that when we speak about something that affected the entire region, the entire eThekwini municipality, the DA, through one of its spokesperson, Councillor Governor, only speaks about areas which are which are previously Indian areas. That is a fact that is racially profiling the problem that happened in July. Now, I don't think I'm wrong anywhere in that, because it's true, Madam Speaker, that in where Africans in particular are living, in townships like Umlazi, Lamontville, Kwamashu, Kwamakuta, Chesterville, there was widespread looting and people lost their lives. In fact, Madam Speaker, out of the people that have lost their lives, 95% of those people are coming from those areas. Those are the people who were really threatened by the situation. Those who have even lost their lives, 95% of them are African people. And she forgets to mention them when we are speaking about a security plan. Now, that is racial profiling. There's nothing wrong in what I've said, Honorable Speaker. And it's indeed the DA policy, Madam Speaker, that they only speak for areas of where Indian people live and where white people live. That is a DA policy.
Councillor Graham.
They do not care about where African people live.
Councillor Sabelo, let's
Now,
allow
I'm not going to
Councillor
apologize
Graham.
for that, Honorable Speaker.
Councillor Graham.
And the other plan here is not to allow me to speak.
Councillor Graham. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Councillor Horzak. Councillor Sabelo is clearly in violation of the rules of order. He is fundamentally accusing Councillor Govender of being a racist, and that is not permitted by the rules of order of this council. It is offensive and it is disparaging. And if the councillors who represent the areas that he's listing would like to speak on behalf of those areas, they are more than welcome to do so. She was not recording a head count of people who have died and racially classifying them according to that. And I will not sit here and tolerate Councillor Sabelo accusing one of our councillors of being a racist when it was his political...
I'm not
Councillor Graham. Councillor Graham. Councillor Graham. I didn't hear Councillor Sabelo saying Councillor Govender is a racist. I will not say he said that when he didn't. He didn't say that. What I heard is that...
to only speak for whites and Indians.
Is that being racist?
That's what she did, Moss. That's what she did, Nicole.
Let's allow him to continue.
Not even mention in Nanda community where 35 people died.
No. Order.
Have any of you apologized for your role in this? I don't see that.
Order.
Are you trying to imply that we caused the unrest? Is that what you're trying to...
No, order, please.
So that's why you are speaking for whites and Indians only.
Please, let's.
No, Madam Speaker, they are out of order. Madam Speaker, they are out of order. First and foremost...
No, Councillor Dan, I didn't recognize you. Please don't.
Madam Chair, it's Barbara. May I come in?
Oh, Barbara.
Yes, Chair.
What's your point?
Yes, Madam Speaker. You know, the allegation by Diane now is that we were the cause of that racial unrest, or that unrest is just unacceptable and she must withdraw.
Not by Diane, by Nicole.
Sorry, by Nicole.
Councillors, let us be productive and allow Councillor Sabelo to continue with his debate.
Madam Speaker, may I please speak just on a point of correction?
No, I heard it was not you. And you didn't say it was, we heard that it's not you.
Yeah, no, I just want to correct something else, Madam Speaker.
No, you're not a speaker on the list. Please. Councillor Nkosi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just an appeal, Madam Speaker, to the colleagues that let us treat this item very careful. Let us not bring issues that are not going to help people of eThekwini. Let's talk about the plan, not the racial issues, etc., etc. Please, colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you for the intervention, Councillor Nkosi.
Thank you, Babu Nkosi.
Continue, Councillor Sabelo.
And indeed, that is what this plan is talking about. This plan is speaking about the entire eThekwini municipality, on how we plan to secure it, both in Indian, in African, in white areas. That is how we are planning to secure our city. The ANC is not a racially driven organization, but we thought we should raise this because that is how we feel the DA is treating this matter. It feels that the security of people living in Chatsworth, Phoenix, is more important than the security of people living in Umlazi and other areas. That's not true. Ours, as a leading party and as the African National Congress, we plan to secure all the residents of eThekwini municipality through this short-term and long-term plan. That is what we aim to do. As the African National Congress, Honorable Speaker, we support this plan and we will ensure that it is implemented, especially because we will be re-elected back into the city to lead the people of eThekwini municipality. Thank you very much.
Councillor Kaunda, thank you, Councillor Sabelo. Councillor Kaunda, S. Kaunda.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think the plan is very broad in terms of what needs to be done in order to able to deal with the current, with the situation. But also there are programs and operations and the plans to deal with issues. What if this thing happened tomorrow? The security agencies have met and have discussed. Unfortunately, some of the things that have discussed cannot be divulged with the public because those are operations. What appeared in our report are the issues that need the council intervention, us as politicians, because they've identified some challenges. One was the issue of human resource. It's one of the challenges. The issue of equipment, vehicles and other equipment that is necessary to be able to deal with the situation. Other issues are software packages so that they can be able to trace and all those kinds. These are issues that appeared in the report and there's an amount that is attached to it. One of the councillors raised the problem in Verulam in terms of the metropolis not able to operate and the fire department as well. But the report captured everything. That included in this report. You can't say we are ignoring some of the station in certain areas when the report also includes the very same area and you are saying we are rejecting the report. This report is also trying to address the current challenges that we're having in Verulam, in those metropolis stations, in those fire departments. It talks about personnel, it talks about equipment, it talks about everything. Hence, this report, it's a broad report of which we need to support it in terms of the MTRF, our finances. In this financial year, how much we can able to produce for the plan. In the next financial year and the other years, how much we can able to release for the plan to be effective. But in terms of operation, let me tell you, the government is ready to deal with any unrest that might come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
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 Anybody who's against?
The DA.
The DA is against. Who else is against?
Yeah.
Who's against? The DA, who else is against? EFF is against.
Unayo what agenda?
Who else is against?
Madam Speaker, the DLC supports the safety plan.
DLC supports. Who else supports? The ANC supports.
IFP
Mosa supports.
Mosa supports.
MF supports.
MF supports.
Councillor Ngumalo supports safety plan.
TA supports. Councillor Ngumalo supports.
ACDP supports.
IFP supports.
IFP supports.
Thank you, spokesperson.
Who's that spokesperson?
The mayor.
Hey, no spokesperson, no strong. Mabanga supports. Ngumalo, are you still here?
Yes, ma'am.
Ngumalo supports.
Not against support, ma'am.
It's not me. Ngumalo supports. There are 3 independents, so add one. The recommendation is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On to item number 7, schedule of key deadlines for budget preparation process for financial years 2022 to 2023 and 2023 to 2024. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted?
Noted.
Noted.
Recommendation is noted.
Item number 8, request for authority to transfer funds within water and sanitation capital projects in financial year 2021-2022 in terms of contract number WS2021-138. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Speaker, the DA are abstaining on this.
The DA abstains. Who else is abstaining? Who is against? Who is for? Everybody else is for.
Yeah, bro.
Yes, everybody else is for.
Agreed.
The recommendation is carried.
Item number 9. It's the report on eThekwini Municipality's response to COVID-19. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation noted?
Noted.
Noted.
Recommendation is noted.
Item number 10, notice of amendment of the establishment notice issued in terms of Section 12 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act of 1998. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Recommendation is carried.
Item number 11, adoption of revised, unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure process. Committee recommends.
Councillor W. Ben, please, from the DA. Councillor Ben, please unmute Councillor Ben, and then Councillor Ben, you can unmute yourself. Unmute, Bob. Please raise your hand. Yes. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is often said that the definition of insanity is making the same mistake over and over and over again. And that's what we're doing here. We have a proposal which suggests a profoundly different basis of dealing with UIFW expenditure, and we have a proposal which has been seen by 10 councillors, and there are 219 councillors in this council. So I am asking for a reference back of this profoundly important issue to both the Governance and Human Resources Committee and also to the Finance, Security and Emergency Services Committee. We deal with unauthorized expenditure and irregular expenditure regularly. We see it in our monthly budget statement reports, and it's always a bit of a mystery as to what's happening about it. And here we're proposing a change in the processes, how it's dealt with, a fundamental change, and 10 out of 219 councillors have seen it. So I ask colleagues, please, can we refer this back to the Governance and Human Resources Committee and to the Finance, Security and Emergency Services Committee for some consideration on this change procedure? Thank you.
Do we support the reference back, councillors?
Yes, Speaker.
No.
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 Okay. Who is against? Who is for the reference back?
The DA is obviously
Madam Speaker, Musa is for.
Musa is for.
ACDP is for.
DLT supports the reference back.
DLC supports.
ANC is against.
The MF supports.
The
The
MF
ACDP
supports.
the reference back.
Who else who has just spoken?
The ACDP supports the reference
ACDP
back.
supports the reference back.
Chair, the DA does, obviously.
The DA does. FF is abstaining. Mabanga against.
Councillor Ngumalo is against.
Councillor Ngumalo is against. Mabanga. TA. TA, where do you stand? TA. The TA supports. Mabanga supports. Who else? UCBC. IFP, where are you?
We are here, Madam Speaker.
Where do you stand on the issue?
No, we are not in support of the reference back.
IFP is against the reference back.
Mabanga is also against, Honorable Speaker. He wrote on the chat.
Mabanga is against. The EFF is abstaining. The ANC is against. IFP is against.
There must be a correction, Honorable Speaker, on the independence. I think it's recorded incorrectly.
Yes, we've had two responses, Mabanga and Ngumalo. We're trying to check where CBC is. 2 against. The independents are against. The reference back is not allowed. Do we agree on the, can we allow Councillor Kaunda?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The issue of the UIFW is one of the reasons why we are not receiving clean audit. We've also been incurring UIFW for more than 7 years as the municipality. But in terms of the MFMA, Section 32 councils has a role to play when it comes to deal with UIFW. Council must approve the write-off, recover of that UIW. Also, the National Authority has given a directive for government to reduce the UIFW by 75% by 2025. Hence, then we felt that we need to look at what we have currently, and we believe that the process, sometimes it took time for us to be able to deal with the UIFW, because once it's incurred, it also go a long way through the CRIU, of which some of the elements or some of the item or issues can be dealt with at impact level and be able to pronounce exactly what is the recommendation for council in that particular instance. Hence, then we have to revise this particular recommendation. The city is now embarking on a project on clean audit of UIFW, because it's one of the areas that AG always cited it. And a lot of areas that we believe we need to also improve, particularly the oversight committees, the internal structures, so that we improve our good governance. So those are the areas that we need to intervene as the city. I don't think there is a problem in terms of approving these particular processes. But if the Finance Committee and the MPEC, they need to be taken through and able to understand, because these are the people who will be monitoring these things. I think that can be happen. But we believe we need to set our record straight in terms of how are we going to receive the clean audit. And this is one of the process that will also lead us to a clean audit. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
No, Speaker.
Agreed.
The DA is against the recommendation. Who else is against?
Against the clean audit.
Mabanga supports, is for the recommendation. Ngumalo?
Kumalo support.
Ngumalo supports. IFP?
Sbisi support.
Sbisi supports. We have 3 independents.
IFP support.
IFP supports. EFF?
DLC supports.
DLC supports. EFF Mtian?
Sayokum.
Oh,
Mosa supports, Madam.
Musa supports.
Connected.
MF?
Supports, Madam Speaker.
MF supports. ACDP?
Supports.
ACDP supports.
EFF supports.
EFF supports. Tiane there.
TA supports.
TA supports. The recommendation is carried.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The next item is item number 12 on the appointment of directors to serve on Durban Point Waterfront Development Company, Pty Limited. Committee recommends.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
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 The recommendation is carried.
Agreed.
Item number 13, funding approval for payments of performance rewards for 2019-2020 financial year.
Councillor Y. Govender from the Democratic Alliance.
Sorry, Speaker, I was just trying to unmute myself. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, effective performance management systems are certainly of utmost importance for public sector organizations, which are steered by budget priorities and are systems that are certainly accountable to taxpayers. Now, aside from the devastating financial impact of COVID and the civil unrest and the absolute need for finding savings for vacancies, human resources, and equipment, in critical units like eThekwini Water and Sanitation or the Fire Department or Metro Police, what the city is doing here in this item is highly irregular and reportable. The legal premise of awarding a performance reward is based on actual performance assessment, not assumed or projected. Actual assessments result in determination of a score, which has to be further moderated. Now, these are the checks and balances to ensure that the reward is achieved or well deserved. Performance rewards are an objective assessment, and they certainly are not subjective. This is certainly not intended to be a cash cow for this municipality, but this item is certainly a red flag. Management is blaming COVID for failing to perform due diligence in rating and moderating those deserving of a performance reward. Well, how many of this 5,000 were actually at work since lockdown? And I mean in terms of rotational basis, or how many of them actually had the tools to work from home? How was this scoring done? The huge red flag in the preamble to this report states that the quick fix which is highly irregular, is the fixing of scores for almost 5,000 employees who are costed and scored at a flat rate of 3 across the board. Now, where in the MFMA is this allowed? This is tantamount to dishonesty and equates to financial misconduct. The report is also silent as to what is the financial implication for these 5,000 employees. Despite requesting an answer, none has been forthcoming, and I'm hoping in the response, perhaps you will give us an answer to that. What has been cleverly disguised here is the financial implications of these 5,000 people by lumping the categories of bonuses, overtime, notch increases, and lump sum payments together. No clarity has been given as to what percentage of this almost 88 million rand comprises potentially unearned bonuses for these 5,000 seemingly gravy train payments. Now, what happens if the auditor red flags this as a query? It is improper, and will it not be a labor law nightmare to review this decision and the financial tag post the award, post the payment? The other unfathomable legitimate expectation that you are creating is that the 188 million rand will be secured, yet your report clearly states that you're almost half that amount short. It has not been identified yet, and there are limitations to that in terms of budgetary constraints. Now, rewards should be a tool to incentivize workers to work. But in eThekwini, it seems, and I've said this before, that it is like an Oprah Winfrey show. Everybody's getting one. We cannot support such a questionable, irregular financial item, and will be calling for an audit of this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barbara Fontaine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, when we talk about the 5,000 employees, we still have to, the score that has been calculated won't get automatically paid out. They still have to undergo a process of performance. The other issue is that in terms of the legislation, we owe certain people this money. They have worked for it, and it was prior covered. So if you see the report, it talks about when these monies were due. And so we are obligated in terms of the law. It's not given willy-nilly. Performance score is undertaken, and then they are paid out that money. So I think the DA is just misleading the public in saying that we're just willy-nilly giving people that score. I think all those issues will be taken into consideration when those bonuses are paid. But yes, those bonuses are for staff that are from 2019 to 20, some of them are from 2018, 2019 to 2020.
Somebody is disturbing Councillor Fontaine, please don't.
So those what happens is that you have to have a performance process that takes place. We just do not give them willy-nilly, and everybody has to be accounted for and their performance ranked. So in that regard, we are trying to make sure that we comply, and workers have worked, and those that haven't worked will be determined. So it does not mean that all that money will be used for the employees. So, Madam Speaker, I think that is all that I can say.
Thank you. Is the recommendation agreed?
Great.
Great.
Agreed.
No, Speaker.
The DA is against. Who else is for?
The
The
DL
ACTP is against, Madam Speaker.
EFF,
EFF, where are you? Standing.
Speaker.
You are for.
Yeah.
The MF is against.
MF is against. IFP?
IFP support the item.
IFP supports.
ACDP is against.
ACTP is for.
Against, Madam
Or
Speaker.
against, sorry. MF?
EFF.
DLC supports, Madam Speaker.
MF, who supports DLC?
EFF is.
The MF is against, Madam Speaker.
The MF is against. DLC?
Councillor Nxumalo supports.
Councillor Nxumalo supports. CBC?
CBC supports.
CBC supports. Mabanga?
DLC supports, Madam Speaker.
DLC supports. Mabanga supports. TA?
TA supports.
TA supports. Mosa? Mosa, ACTP, where are you? Oh, ACTP is against, MF is against.
EFF supports.
EFF supports. Usuyaphinda Mthiyane.
Ufuna ukugcizelela abasebenzi bazi ukuthi sibanakekele.
Yeah, the recommendation is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The last item on the second report is item number 14, eThekwini Municipalities Adjustment Budget 2020-2021 financial year. Committee recommends.
Councillor Nicole Graham.
Thank you, Speaker. I think it's important for us to drill down into what the major adjustments of this budget are or were, since most of it has already happened. And I think the important question we have to ask ourselves when we consider whether this is worthy of supporting is how much of an impact it's had on the capacity of the municipality to do its job and the resultant impact on the life of an ordinary eThekwini resident. I think that we can admit, if we look carefully at this adjustment budget, that the majority of this relates to staff and perks for staff, as well as effectively political decisions or perks for politicians. The first issue is overtime, which we know is a year-on-year exorbitant cost for the municipality, specifically in Metro Police and the Security Management Cluster, as well as EPWP, all of which are riddled with problems. We have evidence that they are riddled with problems, but we have not yet properly addressed. We also look at the performance bonus, which Councillor Govender just spoke to, and which we warned against or tried to mitigate against when we became aware that COVID was looming and that we would have some financial concerns. And obviously now that we are in the position where we are staring down the barrel of the recent riots, will be even more of a concern as the city has lost billions of rands of income. The post-retirement medical aid is another issue to consider. When we have such a high unemployment rate, agreeing to pay medical aid for retired city employees is certainly a concern. And the issue of impairment of debtors, which effectively means that we are writing off debt, is something that is very worrying to the Democratic Alliance. Over the past couple of years, we have been increasingly enthusiastic about borrowing, but far less enthusiastic about recovering debts that are owed to us. It's common knowledge, and I think has been agreed to by everyone, that we did need to give residential consumers a break, those who had lost income due to COVID, and certain categories of commercial or industrial consumers. But the reality is that there are lots of people who could be paying us who aren't paying us because we don't force them to pay us. And I think that really is the crux of this argument. We are spending money badly. Our priorities are skewed towards ensuring that the staff and the politicians are happy, as opposed to addressing concerns that are raised by the public, who effectively keep us afloat through their incomes. And we don't actively pursue income that we could in favor of borrowing and lending, which seems like a far easier option and a far less politically risky option, because many of our debtors are government departments. They are politically complicated relationships, like the relationship we have with Transnet, and they are relationships that we are simply not willing to compromise for reasons that the DA believes are political. If this was a reasonable adjustment budget that said, look, we've run into some problems, we have to move some things around, perhaps we have to get the head start on our safety plan, we would perhaps have agreed with it. But it's quite clear that this is an adjustment budget that's catering more to the needs of the haves than the have-nots, and it's not one that the DA can support. Thank you.
Thank you. Ubab Mayor, can we ask Ubab Mayor to speak on the matter?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I don't know where does the DA live, and I don't know whether they don't understand what is happening in the world, because as a country we're not also immune from COVID-19 and its negative impact on finances. So this is actually based on those elements that during COVID-19 lockdown, many of our people, especially residents and businesses, were severely affected by COVID-19 lockdown. As a result, they were unable to meet their monthly financial obligations. That is something that you need to go and stay somewhere. It's something which you must understand is scientific. When people lose income, when people are unable to continue their work, when businesses are not doing well, you can't therefore expect that those businesses and residents should be able to pay us as expected. So with the non-cash items, that's the main reason, Honorable Speaker. But a point that needs to be acknowledged, which is very important, but the DA always neglects that point, is that in terms of expenditure, when it comes to the adjustments that we are talking about here on the additional capital budget item, in terms of the expenditure, we have spent fully the USDG grant. So I had some councillor before from the DA saying we are not spending. I don't know where does that emanate from, but the ANC-led municipality will spend all that grant fully. The items which are affected on the additional items of capital budget, firstly, capital budget still remains 5.4 billion rand. There's nothing that has changed in regard to that. But those items are informed firstly by that the acceleration of service delivery vehicles, because we'll also note that we had to procure some plans to ensure that we expedite service delivery to our committee. So that has also affected the expenditure in this regard. So therefore the delays on the delivery of such vehicles have impacted into what we are now faced with. The reprioritization of savings for ETA to meet the contractual obligation and the public transport network grant for ETA was also reduced from 124 million by national government. So we needed to apply some adjustment in that regard. Reallocation of funding sources in respect of capital projects to deliver services to our communities, because we as ANC-led municipality, we want to expedite service delivery. We deliver during election, we deliver beyond election, we deliver before election. So people should not start casting any allegations that will start delivering because elections are closed. So we'll continue to deliver. That's why we are considering these adjustments, Honorable Speaker. Reprioritization of projects mainly in the human settlement, engineering, ETA, community emergency services, and trade and services. So that is actually directed to make us as a municipality to respond to the aspirations of a Tegweni community. And we are indeed on course, and the ANC-led municipality will continue to deliver services to change the material conditions of our people for the better. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Bab Mayor. Recommendation agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Agreed. The recommendation is carried. Can we then move to the next item, which is going to be the report by the Municipal Public Accounts Committee? Can we allow the Honorable Chairperson to table his report? Oh, no, notices of, oh yeah, we are right, you're right, you're right. Public impact report.
Can you hear me?
Madam Speaker,
who's speaking? Is Councillor Graham?
It's Councillor Graham. Sorry,
Yes.
I couldn't unmute myself. We're voting against the adjustment budget. My
Okay.
apologies, I couldn't unmute myself.
All right, the DA is against.
Thank you.
Who else is against? Everybody else is for. Ntian.
Abstain, ma.
The EFF abstains. Who else is against? It's only the DA against and the EFF abstaining. The recommendation is carried. Can we move to MPEC? Chair, the platform is yours.
Siyabonga Mamsomlomo, Gamenda Makoskazi Malibonga.
Malibongwe.
Madam Speaker, the primary aim of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee is to ensure that there is a good governance, proper service delivery, sound financial management, and clean administration. In undertaking our oversight role, we have strived to attain this goal, Madam Speaker. While we do encounter various challenges, we are very appreciative of the support and assistance provided by our administration. We have seen a marked improvement in the attendance of officials at our meetings, the timely submission of requested reports, and the initiative implemented to address the concern that we raise. It is my pleasure, Madam Speaker, to present to you the annual report of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, which record the activities of the committee during the 2020 to 2021 financial year. Madam Speaker, We're including here Annexure A, 2019-2020 oversight report. Although I do understand it's just for noting. We have also Annexure B, audit general findings, and also Annexure C, matters considered by the Municipal Public Accounts Committee for the period of 1st of July 2020 to 30 July 2021. In short, Madam Speaker, we're asking this House to accept this report. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Do we accept the report, councillors?
Agreed.
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 Agreed. It's carried. Agreed. Thank you. We don't. What's that? Yes.
I was just checking if I'm audible because I keep having this problem, but thank you.
Okay. We move to the next report, the Ethics Committee. We don't have a report. Notices of motion. There are no norms for consideration. But Mayor, do we have a report in terms of the Municipal Finance Management Act?
No, Madam Speaker, I'm coming in the next meeting.
Thank you. The next item, Acting City Manager, do you have any report?
No report on my side, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Acting CM. Report of committee decisions. Are these noted, councillors?
Noted.
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 Items for noting. Are those noted, councillors?
Noted.
Noted. We have come to the end of this part of the meeting, but we have an in-committee, the second supplementary agenda in committee. Can we recuse everybody who is not supposed to be in this meeting? And can we also stop the live streaming to the public? We